Peace, power, and prosperity. Peace, power, and prosperity. It's your brother Yafeuh Balogun. Back at you one more time. One more time. I got a good one tonight. I got the great. I got the great Kwame Che Shakur in the building. Yes, 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 yes. You may have heard of him. You may have heard of him. He's a good brother. I've been watching him for several years. I admire his work. You know what I'm saying? I admire his dedication, his commitment, his grassroots ethic. You know what I'm saying? I admire this brother. Uh, do me a big favor. Do me a big favor. Like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you can. Share it, whatever. But anyway, so we back one more time. How you doing today, brother?
It's a pleasure, man. Been waiting to get on here and talk to you. I know we've been trying to get this for a little bit, so I'm glad I'm finally over here to talk to you. I was just telling you before we came on, coming over here talking to the grassroots is bigger than talking to CNN to me. Like talking to the people, the real grassroots. You know what I mean? That's how I feel coming on here this show talking to you.
Okay, okay. Well, we definitely do appreciate you so much for giving us your time. We know that you move around various cities around the country and around the world, etc. So we know you got a busy schedule. So we definitely appreciate that for you taking time. So if you could, so there's no foregone conclusions. Pronounce your name for us.
Kwame Che Shakur, and that came from me. When I was in prison and stuff, Kwame Nkrumah was an
Mhm.
inspiration to me. Che Guevara was an inspiration to me. Afeni Shakur, Asada Shakur, Tupac Shakur, all of them was a inspiration to me. So I came up with the revolutionary moniker Kwame Che Shakur. You know what I mean? I was writing a newspaper when I was in prison, and they
Mhm.
told me, they was like, "Well, we want you to come up with a don't keep on using your government name. We want you to come up with a revolutionary moniker." And so I pretty much just kept that name when I got out of prison, and joined the revolutionary movement out here.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Let's take it from the start. Let's take it from the beginning.
Okay.
What I was telling you, at least for me, I like to know how folks got here. You know what I mean?
Right.
How'd how the person got here to this point? What's their history? It's important to kind of know those sort of things, and we have a better understanding of one another. For you, where'd you grow up at?
Grew up in Indianapolis, Indiana. My parents, they was young. I think my mom was like 18 when she had me, and my father was 28 at the time and stuff. Grew up poor. Like when I say poor, poor, like I'm talking about, in those years, my earliest years, we had a car that had a hole. I forget what type of car it was, but it was like it had a hole in the back of the in the back seat area and stuff. So all the people that sit in the back seat, right where your feet is, used to be a hole. And when I was a little kid, like sometimes we'd be on our way to church and stuff, and I had to use the bathroom. They'd be like, "Well, point it down there in the hole, and you can pee on the ground and then hit the cement and go out." You know what I mean? So, like those years, uh, uh, was very informative. I got an autobiography to talk about some of this stuff. My
Mhm.
search for answers, truth, and meaning. The autobiography of Kwame Shakur, and it starts off with my earliest years and stuff. But yeah, Indianapolis. First started off on the northwest side. We moved out to the west side, which is called the Land area
The
over there in
land. Okay.
Indianapolis. 28th and Radar area, 28th and Clifton area. Anybody from Indianapolis know about that area over there? But yeah, so
Mm,
Indianapolis.
And you grew up having to wear jackets all winter long.
Yeah, all winter long. Yeah.
That's wild. That's wild. That's wild. And so, you got any siblings?
Yeah, I got one brother and two sisters.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'm the oldest of all of us though.
You the oldest?
Yeah, I'm the oldest.
I
Yeah.
can see I can see you got the big brother vibe. I can see that. I can see that. You got the protective vibe. So let me ask you, and as I ask everyone who I've had the opportunity to talk to, how does your siblings or mother and father, etc., whomever, how do they feel about your kind of your revolutionary path that you sort of taken?
It would. I think I have a unique situation.
Hmm.
Because I really wasn't expecting my family as a whole, almost pretty much to like accept what I'm doing.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Because
Right.
you got a lot of revolutionaries that you know, that some of their family members can't deal with it. You dig what I'm saying? Them out here. Being out here fighting for our liberation, they might not even understand it. You dig what I'm saying? While we out here standing with Palestine, for instance, or why we coming out here standing up for different social issues and stuff. But overwhelmingly, uh, most of my family, I would say like pretty much 95% of my family support me. My mom, my dad. My mom tells me all the time how proud she is of me. My dad as well. My sisters. You dig what I'm saying? Uh, but yeah, overall, my whole family, my extended family, aunts, uncles, and stuff, a lot of them support me. I'm not saying that we don't have no issues over some of the issues. Just like any family, every family is a microcosm of the social contradictions that's out here in the real world and society. So, but it'd be healthy conversations. I feel like I help push a lot of members in my family forward to start to look at stuff in a more holistic way, political way. Some of them even revolutionary way. You know.
Wow, wow, wow. So if you don't mind, not really. Let me see here. How can I say it? When, not necessarily. I don't want you necessarily to tell your age, but did you grow up in the 80s or is it the 90s? What do you think the
I don't mind. I was born
your
January 2nd, 1979. So I just turned 45 just a few weeks ago. Turned
mhm.
45 just a few weeks
Okay,
ago. Yep.
that's
So
right.
yeah,
I think I saw that. I
yeah,
think I saw that. Happy belated birthday to you. Happy belated birthday to you.
no doubt.
Uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So your family is very receptive, and that's really a rare thing because I've seen so many of us in our generation that they they oftentimes have to do things almost alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even when you talk about with their significant other,
Hmm.
it's always good, I think, for folks to have their significant other. But if they don't have their significant other, of course, it's a cherry on top to have mother,
Right.
father, brother, sister, somebody.
Right.
So
Right.
that's
Yeah.
that's 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 good.
Yeah.
Now, in
Hey,
term, go ahead.
I, I can't say that they always been like very supportive. You know.
Okay, okay.
From a distance, a lot of them was like, you know, and I think part of it is because they saw me get out of prison. I did 18 years, and I know we probably get to that part of my
Hmm.
story a little later. But after doing 18 years in prison, coming out here and they seeing that I'm not going back to the same stuff, you know what I mean? I'm actually out here being community involved, talking about positive stuff in our community. I think that was one of the things that they was happy about because they saw a transformation in myself where I
Hmm.
wasn't coming out here like some people and go right back to the joint, you know, with
Gotcha.
more time. You know what I mean? So I think that's one of the reasons. But like I said, it had to grow on them to come and attend some of the events. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying? Like at first, I was doing stuff out here for a number of years, and like my family would never show up.
Right.
I think it was partly because they was scared. They saw like the type of stuff I was talking about. They was like, "Oh, I don't know about that. You calling out the government and the police chief and the mayor and the governor and the president and all, you know, a lot of let's keep it 100. A lot of our people are scared. You know what I'm saying? We've been so socially conditioned to just be complacent and live a mediocre life that a lot of us accepted that for a long time. So to see someone actually stand up against the system and call it out, Like that scares some of us, especially some of the older generation. You know what I'm saying? But the more they see me out here, seeing the movement that we've been building, now sometimes they come out. Some of my people every now and then come out and support, actually boots on the ground to some of the events and stuff. You know what I mean? Even came out one time. My mom even came down to when we shut down the streets one time. You know what I mean?
Wow.
I would
Wow.
that surprised me right there. I was like, what?
Moms came out to that.
Oh yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. So you did mention you mentioned at least a couple times. I know that you did a stint in prison. I gotta ask you, do you think uh as a as a kid or well let me not make the assumption, let me let you tell me, but I'm going to tell you, you just tell me if I'm on target. Was it something would you kind of like rough around the edges as a kid, and that kind of a lot of young folks, and I say young folks like I'm super old, but I'm not, but a lot of folks say jumping off the porch.
Right.
Did you jump off the porch early or?
Uh, I would say I jumped off the porch a little later than a lot of people, because I was more caught up in like sports and stuff for a long time. You know what I mean?
What you played?
Uh, yeah, like basketball, football. Like my stepfather was a like a really a major basketball coach. His name is Alonzo Dennis Hayes. He passed away back in 2020, but a lot of people in Indianapolis,
Condolences. Condolences.
I appreciate that. Know him and was influenced by him. And like if you bring up my stepfather, they be like, "Oh, Mr. Hayes. Mr. Hayes was like one of the best basketball coaches in Indianapolis." Like this is a person that really single-handedly a number of public schools, because he was an art teacher. Long story short, my mom met him. He was my art teacher at a school 42 that I went to at the time. My mom was going through a divorce with my dad, and my art teacher, Mr. Hayes, he had some 1970s game. I don't know how she went for it, but she went for the shit. You know what I mean? Uh,
Right.
but he had a big influence on my life when she married him, because he got me into sports, and then he also helped me in another way because we moved out the hood. You know what I'm saying? I moved out the hood when I was like 8 years old, and we moved to the suburbs and shit. And that gave me a different perspective on life, because not only was I going living in the suburbs, but he kept us connected to the hood. Because he enrolled us into the Atkins Boys Club, which is on the west side of Indianapolis, Hallville area, which is probably one of the roughest neighborhoods, especially in the 90s. So I always had this double consciousness going on. Like I go in the daytime, I'm in school out in the suburbs, but then at night, well, in the evening, I'm going back to the hood to go to boys club, play with basketball teams, play with their sports team and stuff. So I was seeing two worlds at the same time every day of my life, all the way up to, really my teenage years almost. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I was living in two worlds and seeing two different ways of looking at life at the same time that a lot of people didn't have a chance to experience like that. They only might have grew up in the hood or grew up in the suburbs, and they got one experience and couldn't understand the other side. You know what I'm saying? What that culture and the value system, the social ethic, all that stuff was like. You know what I mean? So it really had a big impact on my development as a person, because I didn't grow up looking at white people as all devils and stuff. Like I had actual white friends and stuff. You know what I'm saying? But then
Right.
I got some straight hood friends. You know what I mean? So I had a different experience growing up that I think shaped my social conditioning to be able to see some of the things and some of the politics I eventually gravitated towards, like the Black Panther Party type of politics. You know what I mean?
Wow. 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 So you was going back and forth, and then you had so your stepfather was an educator, and he's also was a coach.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
But he had the presence of mind to take you back and forth.
Yeah, he told me personally, he told us personally, he was like, look, I don't want y'all to ever forget where y'all came from. You dig what I'm saying? So I'm gonna always keep y'all connected to this to where you came from. You so you understand like you're no better than your our people, you dig what I'm saying, in the hood. You dig what I'm saying? And this is where I started to learn basketball. This is when I first started to pick up my social peer groups and stuff like this. You didn't want
Right.
to say this when I started to really come into questioning different things about life for the first time. You didn't want to say was
Right.
going back and forth through these worlds. But one thing that really influenced me too was the church and how I was indoctrinated with the church and stuff. I was a Christian, came through a Christian household and stuff like that. I know a lot of us go through that. You know what I mean? I talk about this heavily in my book. You dig what I'm saying? How that affected me, and a lot of people always talk about the positive stuff with religion. Well, it affected me in a negative way. You dig what I'm saying? It
Okay.
made it made me as I was growing up started hating life. You dig what I'm saying? Because I just couldn't understand it. It was like, well, in this Bible it says that God put a fruit in a garden and they ate a tree and that's why we cursed. It was like, why did you even put that motherfucker in the garden in the first place? you
Right.
know, so it made me like hate being a human on one level, and then when we start to talk about like the Hemic curse with Noah and all this other stuff, and this is why black people are cursed and stuff, and this is what they told us in these churches and stuff. So I was like, so black people is cursed because of something that happened thousands of years ago with Noah and all this other stuff. Like that stuff didn't make no sense to me, but
Right.
I believed it. I believed it though. And because I internalized that and I believed it, it made me at a very young age was suicidal. You know what I'm saying? So it made me angry kid as I was growing up. You know, I used to get in fights a lot. You know what I'm saying? Growing up.
Hmm.
But at the same time, you'll have people say that I was a real good kid growing up, that like I was easy to get along with. I was friendly. I had a lot of friends, but there was it was like I was always at war with myself because I'm hating my own existence because I'm thinking like I'm going to hell. You know what I mean? Like they talk about the rapture and all this other
Right.
stuff. And as a young kid, people don't understand how this can traumatize kids. You know what I'm saying? And when you indoctrinate them with this type of stuff at a young age, and they don't have no choice but to accept this. Like I didn't have no choice. You know what I'm saying? Like we had to go to church, we had to do this and stuff like that. So it really started to have a negative impact on how I related to myself, to other people, and to the world and my existence as a whole. So as time went on, this caused me to get involved in a lot of stuff, criminal type of behavior, because I stopped giving a fuck about life at a young age.
Did
You know?
did you did you ever join in the street tribes?
Yeah. So and I talk about this in my autobiography, and I even told Ike Taylor this, who one of the founders of the GDs, growth and developments and stuff. You know what I'm saying? I told him, I was like, yeah, and people that know me know I'll be working a lot with the street tribes, the Vice Lords, Almighty Vice Lord Nation, growth and development. I'll be seeing them next week when I go up to Indianapolis and stuff. You know what I mean? But yeah, I started off with growth and development. At that time, it wasn't growth and development to me.
GD.
It was just Apple.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
had
Folks,
no positive,
folks.
it had no positive aspect for me at the time because I didn't know no history.
Right.
I knew only a little bit of lit, and it was really a social peer trend. I feel like that was going on in the '90s in Indianapolis. It's like you just to be fit in, like you was a vice lord or a GD, especially if you could fight. If you got in fights and stuff, that's all they cared about anyway. It didn't have nothing about no principles, no history, no telling us what we supposed to be doing. I didn't find out the truth about all this stuff till later in later years, actually recent history. You know what I mean? We can get to that a little later and stuff. But yeah, I grew up claiming GD back then, but it was all negative reasons of why I was claiming back then. You know what I'm saying? It was just because that was the thing to do, and
Mhm.
I like to fight. I got in fights all the time. I was doing carrying pistols, selling weed and stuff eventually and stuff. So it was like a natural progression when you dealing with a whole community of individuals that don't know their history, don't know the real connection to what we supposed to be about, and we just out here like living aimlessly, trial and error and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Mhm.
The blind leading the blind. You feel me?
Exactly, exactly. So, and you said you got younger siblings.
uh,
Uh, Even though I know what you kind of describe, and forgive the description I give, but you sort of kind of jumped out the porch a little bit, or you started trying to you connected with some street organizations, street
oh, okay.
tribes. Uh, were you what? Well, let me ask you, how much older are you than your closest sibling?
My closest sibling is 2 years. Yeah, 2 years younger than me.
Okay, was that is that a
Brother.
okay, so he probably was probably trying to follow you. Was that an accurate statement?
Yeah, yep, yep. He was.
Okay. Okay. Did you allow him to be engaged, or were you trying to keep him out of it as well?
uh, it was a little bit of both. Me allowing him to see stuff like when I was 8 years. What was like in my eighth grade year, I'm gonna say seventh grade. That's the first time like we got our first gun and stuff. And like he used to see me with the gun and stuff like that, but I wouldn't let him play with the gun though. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'd
Right.
be like, nah, bro, like it's just me and my guy. But him and his brother, we wouldn't allow them to play with like hold the gun and all that stuff.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? So, but we allowed them to see what we was on and stuff. You know what I mean? Like my brother used to see me pack like stash the pistols in the house in my little hiding spot. He used to
Right.
see me, with the weed, when I was selling weed and stuff like that. But I always was kind of trying to encourage him not to be doing the same stuff that I was doing. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Because I really realized like it was coming from a bad place for me. I like I said, I was very suicidal. You know what I'm saying? But people didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? They just thought I was just reckless and like got in fights and did all kind of crazy stuff, going to juvenile, stuff like that. Going to boys' school, beating up teachers. You know what I mean? Hit motherfuckers in heads with a tray at school and shit. You know what I mean? I was a rebel without a cause for a long time in my life. You know what I mean? And
Gotcha.
I say I jumped off the porch a little. I don't know. It's kind of when you say I was in the seventh or eighth grade and I had my first pistol and stuff. Is that young? You know what I mean? Because it's
I mean, it is to me. But no, you didn't get in Indianapolis, so Indianapolis might be a little different than Dallas, though. Indianapolis might be a little different. I don't
Yeah,
know.
because I can tell. I can talk about some ones that jumped off the porch when they was like 10 and 11 years old. But I
Right,
really started getting really, really, really heavy until like 16. Though you know what I'm saying? That's when I really started, really wilding out. But I say it started like all the way back in eighth grade.
eighth
So you
grade. Yeah.
might be able to say I jumped off the porch a little early and stuff. You know what I mean?
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. This is something I always gotta ask, especially you from a different part of the country too. Anyway,
Yeah.
uh, for those of us in that generation, in that time frame, for you, who was your biggest musical influences at
Uh,
that particular time?
Number one, Tupac.
Okay, okay.
One Tupac. Like y'all see me post Tupac even to this day. I think I made a post of Tupac like what yesterday, 2 days ago. You know what I'm saying? Like he's still like inspiration.
What's your top three? Let me get your top three.
Okay. Tupac, mm, maybe A Ball MJG
Okay.
and UGK probably.
Okay, so yeah, so we look, so we agree. So you know what, sometimes I be thinking, and forgive me if I get it wrong here, because I do folks from Indianapolis,
Uh,
y'all would consider yourself from the Midwest.
yeah, Midwest.
Okay, so I usually think that folks that's from the Midwest, uh, probably I would have thought you probably would have said Biggie. I would have just gonna say Biggie Smalls, uh, uh, Rakim. No. What's his name? Nas, uh,
Nah,
Jay Z. So you know what I'm saying. So one of
right.
them three is somewhere in that range. You know what I
Man,
mean?
we was think about this. The Midwest is kind of like right in the middle of all that. Like,
Okay.
dang, so we took in like the West Coast, the East Coast. Well, I say this: most of us took more of the West Coast and down south. You know what I'm saying? I didn't. I was one of the ones that didn't really draw off the East Coast for a long time. Like I did like they lyrics. I did like they style for a long time. You know what I'm saying? Like Lost Boys and stuff. Like I couldn't feel that. Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, you know what I'm saying? Dog Pound, 8 Ball MJG, all of them, South Circle and stuff, for a long time. Those was, and then you got the Chicago influence like Do or Die. You know
Yeah.
what? Got the Cleveland influence with Mo Thugs, Bone Thugs, and
Both
Harmony.
of us are harmony.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? That had a big influence on that in that. That's what they call Indianapolis Nat. If y'all not familiar with Nat Town.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
Uh,
big influence on like a mixture of West Coast, down south, and then you got the Chicago influence that really influenced. But then you had some that was influenced by the East Coast. You know what I'm saying? So we had a little bit of a mixture of very Indianapolis. You know what I mean?
gotcha. Gotcha. I just thought that was it. I had to ask that because you're a couple years older than me, so I had to ask that question.
Okay.
Uh, um, in terms of not to go in a whole lot of detail necessarily, unless you going on your own about what got you to prison.
Okay.
I'm not so much interested in that part as I'm interested in. Was it state or was you in the feds?
It was a state, and like I said, I'm an open book. I wrote a whole autobiography about it, and it was a reason why I did because I want to teach people like no matter what you've been through, you can transform yourself and recreate yourself on a positive tip, on a revolutionary tip.
Okay.
I went to prison for a bank robbery back in April 30th, 1998. At the time, I was really
How
like
old you?
I was 19 years old. I was 19 years old.
Man.
Yeah, I had already been to boys' school, did a year in boys' school, got out of boys' school, real shitty.
So, well, let me ask you a question. Don't mean to cut you out. Don't mean to cut you out. Now, why is it that you didn't? Not that it's good or bad, but I wonder what made the federal government not necessarily pick your bank robbery case up.
It wasn't a there's if it's the FDIC
Okay, insured, then they pick it up.
yeah, so if it's not under the FDIC and stuff like that, then that'll be a state case. So you do got state banks out there, and I'm
So
kind of glad
so
it would.
it just so happened that unbeknownst to you, you just chose a bank that did that, that didn't now if you don't mind me asking, let me know if I'm being too intrusive. Uh, did you just randomly pick this bank, or this is something that area that you knew?
It's an area I knew. It's kind of my side of town. I passed the bank plenty of times, but it was out far enough that I figured like maybe if they might not make no connection. You dig what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But yeah, I end up I was at this time of my life. Like I said, I got out of boys' school. I went to boys' school for beating up a teacher at school that lied on me. Like this is what really got this ball rolling. When I
Mm.
boys' school for something that I really shouldn't even had to be put in this position, which is a long story in itself. Like I end up getting suspended from school unjustly and I was so pissed off about it where I end up beating up a teacher behind it because they lied on me and stuff. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the school system failed me at that time in my life. I couldn't articulate myself. I didn't know how to really fight the system at that time in my life. But I felt like if there was somebody that could have intervened at that time in my life, I might not have even went through these circumstances later in life, like going to boys' school, going to prison. You know what I'm saying? But that started that avalanche when I went to boys' school for beating up that teacher that lied on me. That I feel like I shouldn't have got suspended over. You know what I'm saying? I shouldn't have got suspended, and they should have investigated and find out that teacher lied on me. You know what I'm saying? But because that happened to me when I went to boys' school, uh, it really developed me into being a hardcore criminal because I'm around people that's all we started to talk about. Like, you know what I mean? We
How to be
started
a better
first,
criminal.
yeah, we started our first clique, or I would say gang, yeah, because it's the difference between a gang and a street organization, street mob. You know what I'm saying? We know the difference, but at this time we was like in a gang mentality and stuff. So like we started our first gang in prison, in juvenile, boys school. You know what I mean? And we was running the boys school with this our clique and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And we're smuggling weed and tobacco and all this other stuff. You know what I mean? This is in boys' school. So it was preparing me for a criminal lifestyle and stuff. So by the time I got out of the boys' school, I hit the ground running in the streets and stuff. So I'm really out here like doing robberies, carjacking, burglaries, and stuff like that, running in businesses, robbing dope dealers and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
it prepared me for prison. You know what I mean? And by the time I end up doing a bank robbery, that was because a couple of my friends had caught a case up in Anderson, Indiana, and I was trying to get the bail money to bail them out and also take care of myself if I had to fight that case. You know what I mean? Because they was locked up on another robbery case. So this is when I really was, going downhill in my life. You know what I mean?
Right. Wow. 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 So, so so basically, the situation happens. You commit the robbery. How long after the robbery would you say that police was knocking at your door or somebody was telling on you? However that happened. How
Oh,
long did that happen?
okay. So so my case was like on national TV. Like I got caught.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So they
Yeah,
had your face everywhere.
yeah, it's on CNN and everything from my understanding. Like
Wow.
I ended up getting a shootout with the police, like right there on the right coming out the bank, and then putting them on a high speed chase. They end up eventually catching up with me and shot me several times and stuff. Like it's on my YouTube channel. I put it on there because some people was telling me, it was like, man, you need to put your story on there. I never looked at my story as being like I'm a victim necessarily. You know what I'm saying? But on the tape, you see my hands is up in the air and they still shoot me though. You know what I mean? So they did commit excessive force on me at this time. You know what I mean? I just never looked at it at that time because I know where I was at in my mind frame at that time. Like suicide by a cop was what I was on out there. Like if I ain't gonna get away with this bank robbery, then I'm gonna make you motherfuckers kill me and stuff. That was my mentality at that time in my life.
Wow.
At 19 years old, like I was that far gone. That's why I understand some of these youngsters out here that's committing all these heinous crimes out here
Mhm.
and really, you know, sabotaging their life, sabotaging our community. I understand where some of this stuff come from, and it takes people that have been through that mindset to talk to these brothers and sisters out here that's going through that to know how to reach them. You know what I
But
mean?
you know, for the fact that you brought that up. Thank you for saying that. You made me just think about something that I saw that you shared a couple of times. And fill the gaps in because you know I'm gonna tell it wrong because I know you dealt with it and I've just kind of seen you mention it. There's a brother that you've been working with that's been in prison. He may be free now. I think he might be free now, but you think he was present when he got freed.
Mm-hmm.
And he was wrongfully
Oh yeah,
convicted. Could you just tell us a little bit about that brother? Because I know you shared it on your page, and I just made me come to mind
yeah.
uh, a little
Yeah,
bit.
so when I first came down, I met that brother. I'm gonna say this was 2000. I want to say 2000. I met him at or it might have been 2000, 2001. I met him down in Wabash Valley Correctional Facility. Me and him was in G said house. I remember I used to see him in the county jail, Marion County Jail in Indianapolis, but I didn't know him at the time. But I just knew he was locked up around the same time I was. But I finally had a conversation with him for the first time, and I want to say this is 2001. Me and him was in G Cell House, and his name is Leon Benson. Matter of fact, he got actually got out last year, and we're gonna get to that. But he told me, he was like, "Yeah, bro, I'm not even in here for what they said I did. Like, I'm innocent. Like, I'm really innocent. I didn't even do this murder right here. You know what I'm saying?" And that was one of the first brothers I came across in prison. And luckily at this time in my prison bit, I actually was trying to better myself. I was going to law library. I was reading books. I was actually starting my revolutionary process. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't all the way there. I was still a little way up. You know what I mean? Always gave the guards hell. You know what I'm saying, when I was in there. But yeah, over the years, me and him bumped back into each other again. Cause at times I kept on going to lock up. He was going to lock up for something he didn't do, and even in prison. He did like what 10 years or something like that, and on lock up for something he didn't do in prison, and he was already in prison for something he ain't did, but he was on Supermax lockdown unit. Anybody that been on Supermax understand that's real life torture, like real life torture. But when we bumped back into each other again, I want to say this was 2003. We was on the Supermax on the shoe at Wabash Valley Correctional Facility. That's when he finally gave me his case, and I started reading over his paperwork, and I was like, "Damn, this
Cause
brother
you, cause
really
you like the
innocent."
you like the law guy on the yard.
Well, yeah, I was pretty like I could, if I wanted to. I had the opportunity to join a law firm when I got out of prison. Like, I helped myself get out of prison a little early. I got 5 years knocked off my sentence and stuff by pretty much write my own memorandum of law, motion and stuff like that. I had a lawyer speak for me, but I did all the work. You know what I'm saying? Wrote all the arguments, looked up all the case logs, made all the arguments in the paperwork that was filed with the court. You know what I mean? But yeah. I when I looked at his case, I was like, man, bro, I see obviously like you innocent. You know what I mean? And he finally got exonerated. I actually dedicated my autobiography to him and Royal Amos, which is another brother that's in prison still to this day for something he ain't do. Royal Amos. I dedicated my book to both of them, Leon Benson and Royal Amos, and also my stepfather that passed away, Alonzo Dennis Hayes. You know what I mean? But yeah, Leon finally got out March 9th last year, 2023. I was there at the prison down in Pendleton, Indiana. It was Indiana. What was that prison? I left that prison too. CIC is what we call it, but they call it something else now. It's Correctional Industrial Facility is where he got out of in Indiana. And I was there when he walked through the gates. Like, soon as he came out, I was like, "The truth never dies.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
truth never dies." Like, that's his slogan. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah, yeah.
I was thinking about it. It just hit me. I was like, it was kind of just like surreal, because he been telling me the whole time. He's like, "Bro, the truth never dies. It's only rediscovered, and they gonna find out I didn't do this stuff." And it just hit me. I was like, the truth never dies. He walked through the gates, through the doors, and stuff. You know what I mean? It was like,
Yeah.
man,
That's real, man. That's a real one. He needed that. Definitely need that. Glad that brother's free. Glad you free too.
yeah,
Because because what you described is something that I wasn't aware of, and that's kind of reason. That's kind of reason what started this conversation. At least for me, was I wanted to learn about people and other people's experiences. You know what I mean, and hopefully make a better version of myself. But
right,
you got into this situation with the police, and obviously had an exchange, like a firefight with the police.
yeah,
Ultimately, you was hit. You had the situation with the robbery case. You
hmm,
go in. You go in prison.
right,
Um, I'm just glad they didn't. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just glad they didn't sentence you to life.
right,
Uh,
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know how Indiana state statutes work or whatnot. I'm not familiar with that law. Somewhat familiar with Texas.
yeah.
Uh, what when you went in, and you first get in, kind of, and I don't know. I've never been to prison. I've been to things similar,
Hmm.
prison like, but I've never actually been to prison. But
Right.
explain to me just a little bit what you, if you can remember, what you think that first day in prison was like.
I talk about it vividly in my book. Yeah, my first day in prison, I actually didn't go to a unit like everybody else. When we got off the transportation van, they put everybody else in the cell house, but me. They put me on desegregation because they didn't have a cell open and stuff. So I sat my first day in prison on the lockup unit, and I was cool with that. Mind you, I did a year in the county jail, and the county jail in Indianapolis in the 90s was rough. You heard
Okay,
me?
okay,
It was rough in there. So I was like, now I'm in the joint. I'm thinking like, boy, this got to be even rougher. But I'm gonna keep it 100. I felt like the county jail was probably one of the roughest places I ever been in my life. In Indianapolis, Marion County Jail in 1990s. Anybody that been in there in the 90s, they know that was a rough spot. You know what I'm saying? So, but actually, when I got to prison, it wasn't as rough. I mean, it was a lot of stabbings going on and stuff like that, a lot of fights and stuff like that. But I'm just saying the county jail had a whole nother feel to it. You know what I'm saying? Than prison. You know what I mean? Uh,
wow,
so yeah, when I went to by the time I actually the next day, uh the next the next day they put me in F Sad House, and that was really my first day in prison. And I would say this because there's a lot of people don't think about this. My first day walking on that yard and getting off of that transportation van and seeing grass for the first time. Mind you, when I was in the county jail, like we did see no trees, no grass, no like that was like some real like memorable stuff for a lot of us. Like the first time we saw some grass again, like we picked up the grass and smelt it. Like all of us. And it was like we had a like a Buddhist moment and stuff. Like we was nature and shit. You know what I mean? Like I
right,
was, man, look at this, y'all. You know what I mean? And everybody else picking up the grass, they something like, yeah, bro, I did 2 years in the county jail. I ain't seen no grass, no trees, no dirt, no none of that stuff for 2 years. I only did almost a year. You know what? Well, actually less than a year, but just seeing grass, trees once again. You know what I mean? That was like a real moment that we all took in. You know what I mean? We all took in that day. And I remember that day so vividly because it's like, dang, a lot of people take little stuff like that for granted. You didn't want
right,
to see people that go through that struggle like that. Like it's we dealt with a whole lot of sensory deprivation. You know what I'm saying? Like lack of just basic stuff that people take for granted. Like we saw is like, man, we actually walking outside and on and even though we behind the prison gates and wires and stuff, it's like, man, I see nature again. You know what I mean? It's not just concrete walls and dark areas and dark blocks, cell blocks and stuff. You know what I mean?
right, right, right,
Yeah.
right. So, huh, that's interesting. So you felt more so that the county jail was because of its sensory deprivation, isolationist position, more or less was kind of more detrimental to some degree than the
Yeah.
actual prison.
Yeah, well, mentally, it was a lot more. Like it was a very suffocating environment. You can see like the mental breakdown, psychological and mental breakdown that you would go through to the county jail versus once you went to prison. You had a more open environment where you can go out, see grass, talk to a lot more people, and a lot more things that you could do. You know what I'm saying? The violence in the county jail was a lot worse back then. You know what I'm saying? Like I said again, I don't want to take away from especially other prisons. It was other prisons that was uh a lot more worser when it came to like stabbings and killings and stuff like that because it was going on like that. but I just felt like the violence was just omnipresent in the county jail, where I didn't have that same feeling when I was in the once I reached prison and stuff. Like I wake up in prison, it was a little bit more relaxed and stuff. You know what I mean? You're around
Mm,
people that got 30 years and been down for 20 years, so they already know, like, look, this is their home, right? You know what I mean? So they want to make sure, like, they hopefully one day get out. You know what I'm saying? So they not trying to be like fighting and stabbing people every day and stuff. You know what I'm saying? But in the county jail, it was more so like a lot of fights, a lot of people getting jumped, a lot of, like, pressure situations and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
but you had that once I came to prison, because it was a little bit more relaxed, and you're around people that's been down and beaten for a long time, and they just really want to go home. A lot of them, you know what I mean?
Right, right, right. You know, when you was talking about the county jail in Indianapolis, made me think about our local county jail. This is our local county jail here in Dallas. They call it Lou Sterrett
Oh,
Justice Center. And I
okay.
only say that to say, because I've been there probably 3 or 4 times myself. It ain't you don't go outside there neither. Like I showed this because like it's just you just go in these buildings. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Whatever's going on. You know what I mean? If you having a mental issue, they obviously put you in a separate building. But you don't ever go outside. And I know I got some cousins, I got some friends and they just sat here for a year and a half, two, like what you were saying, waiting on trial.
yeah,
Sometimes they beat it, sometimes they don't, but you don't ever go outside,
yeah. And if you do go outside, it's like you only see the sky. You know what I mean? You might see a bird fly get across the sky. It's a bird, you know.
Yeah, 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 man. Oh man. If I may ask, so you all this goes on, and I know in the back of your mind you're thinking about mama, you're thinking about the stepfather. Let me ask you, just to kind of backtrack and forgive me if I step on any toes a little bit. Forgive me if I do. In terms of your biological father, did you ever have a relationship, like a close relationship with him?
Yeah, me and him got a good relationship to this day. You know what I mean? I mean, we ain't always had a good relationship, but
Mhm.
by the time I got out of boys' school, me and his relationship was pretty good. You know what I mean? And pretty much stayed that way all the way up to the present and stuff. But
Okay.
we had rough times. Like, I think a lot of people have, a lot of men. We have our little issues with our fathers for various different reasons. Just like our sisters might had a lot of issues with our mamas and stuff like that.
Right.
It was the same with me and my father and stuff. Me and him bumped heads a lot growing up. You know what I mean? But this was a person I actually idolized growing up at a young age. But your views change of them over the years when stuff happens and stuff. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
I'm glad to this day, like, me and my father, me and his relationship good. Me and my stepfather went through a rocky period too. I talk about that. Like, it was a period of time where because I was really idolizing my father at a young age. Like, I used to tell my stepfather, you ain't my real daddy. That's my real daddy. You ain't my real daddy. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
that caused a lot of tension in our household when I was coming up at a young age and stuff. You know what I mean? And like I
Right.
said, a lot of this stuff in my autobiography more deeper, but this is just like a rough, summary over these years going into the prison years and stuff. You know what I mean?
One more time. I know you told the name of the book. What's the name of the book? Your
Uh,
autobiography.
it's called My Search for Answers, Truth, and Meaning. The autobiography of Kwame Shakur.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So, um, in your opinion, like when is it that you kind of while you was in prison, sort of kind of turned over this new leaf? Was it a conversation that you had with somebody in prison, or was it one day you just said, you know what, I'm gonna do something different?
So this is it. It really it's like when I go on my book tours and stuff. The next one's gonna be down stuff in mid-April and stuff. But this one part, read, and I know the page in my book on page 69 to page 71 because I read it every time I do a book tour. But it was really because this brother that I met in there, me and him got real cool. His name is Buddy. He's actually out right now. You know,
Mhm.
he's doing real good for himself too. But I called him one day coming from the law library, no, the general library, and he had some books in his hands and stuff, right?
Mhm.
And it kind of amused me and stuff because I was like, you know, at this time in my prison bit, I'm thinking anything dealing with like black conscience type of stuff is being institutionalized. You know what I mean?
Right.
and I remember when I first talked to him, I was amused by the fact that he had some books in his hands and stuff. So I was like, well, what you doing with them books? And that's when I started to find out like he taught himself how to read and write in the county jail, and he was educating himself about Black history. But at the time, I wasn't into no Black history. I was like, look, bro, I hear you and stuff, but I ain't on none of that Black Power, Nation of Islam, none of that nonsense. You know what I'm saying? My whole
Right.
mentality at this time was like, nobody in a book could tell me about my life if they didn't walk in my own in my shoes. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't really trying to hear nobody talk about no conscious stuff at all at this time. You know what I'm saying? But this brother, he did something. And I want people to pay attention to this. Sometimes it's not like necessarily jumping from A to Z immediately. Sometimes you got to spark the interest in a person before they can even start to take in conscious material. And that's what he did to me. He was like, well, you know, he tried to give me a conscious book, but I was like, bro, I ain't trying to read none of that shit. You know what I'm saying? But he saw that where I was in my mind, and he needed to at least spark an interest in reading. You know what I'm saying? So him sparking an interest in reading really got me down the path where I eventually started to pick up conscious book. So he gave me some hood books at first. Donald Goines. I think in my autobiography I said Black Gangster, but I think it was really Dauphin because I ended up going back over reading the audio book, and I think it was Dauphin that he gave me by Donald Goines. But after I read that book, it was like I got a thirst for hood books. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So he kept on trying to come at me with the conscious shit, and I was like, bro, I'm not trying to hear that shit.
Eh,
You know? So he ended up giving me Iceberg Slim book Pimp. So after I read that, I was like, wow, this is kind of a good book, and it made me not like pimping, and because I realized what real pimping was. You know what I'm saying? So after I brought that book back to him, I really had a real thirst for hood type of book. So I brought that book back to him. I was like, man, give me another hood book like that. So he tried to give me another conscious book. I was like, bro, why you coming at me with that Black Power shit? You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to hear none of that shit. You know what I mean? So, and that was how my mind was at right there. Everything was Black Power. Like it was all Nation of Islam. All that stuff was the same shit to me. You know what I'm saying? This is how ignorant I was about a lot of stuff. So, long story short, he was like, bro, all these other books I gave you, all I want you to do, just read one. If you don't like none of, if you don't like this, I ain't gonna never come at you with another book like this and stuff. And so since he said that, I was like, okay, man, I read this one motherfucking book, and he gonna stop coming at me with these books, this Black consciousness stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I read that book, and that was the by Naeem Akbar,
Okay, Naeem Akbar. Okay.
Visions of Black Visions for Black Men. After I read that book, and the premise of the book was about the difference between men and males and men, and it was basically boiled down that males live out through the power of their testicles. Like it's like how the streets raised us. You know what I mean? Being able to fight, fuck as many women, make as much money as you can make. You know what I'm saying? This is what it was about. You know what I'm saying? But he was showing me that's what males did. You know what I'm saying? Men really prioritize their life. It was about their community. It was about something higher than just self. You know what I'm saying? It is being responsible. It was is taking care of your responsibility. It was looking at your community and seeing your community as an asset to develop and contribute to, not to take away from, stuff like that. And after I got done reading it, it was like it hit me because I started looking around in the prison, and I'm like, I don't care if a person 18 years old or 80 years old. A lot of them people in prison I was around was males. They weren't men. And that's what really stood out to me. I was like, damn, some of this stuff, like I see this right here. And I don't really feel this no more. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
so that got me started to on the search for answers. You dig what I'm saying? Because I'm like, dang, now I can see why it's important to read books. Because now this book I just read, this person never lived my life, but he telling me a lot about myself. So long story short, when I end up going to lockup on the shoe, one of the older guys gave me a Vita Wawa 2 journal, book 11, and it had 3 speeches by Fred Hampton in there. You dig what I'm saying? And when I got to the speech about power anywhere there's people, like that book just like that speech just hit me hard because I'm thinking like this dude is 21 years old when the government assassinated him.
Mm-hmm.
21 years old in that cell reading this speech at this time. So I'm over here reading this speech and he's talking about, we it's work to be done in the valley. But after we done with the work in the valley, we gotta go to the mountaintop. We gotta
Right.
go to the mountaintop because it's a motherfucker on the mountaintop that playing king and he been bullshitting us. You know what I'm saying? We not going up there to the mountaintop to live his lifestyle. We not going up there to live with his luxuries. No, we gotta go up there to tell this motherfucker, goddamn it, that we come from the valley. And I was like, damn, this is cold. Like this dude is powerful. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Right.
Fred Hampton had such a big influence on me after I read that stuff that I started to get into the Black Panther Party. I started learning about the Black Panther Party, the free breakfast program, started learning how the COINTELPRO brought them down. You dig what I'm saying? So from that day forth, I started to realize I'm gonna read everything I can because I realized they miseducated me in these colonial schools that I came up in, and that started my trajectory. This is like 2000. This is in 2000 going in 2001 that I started my own self education in prison. From there on, I just took like fish to water. I started reading about the Black Panther Party, Malcolm X, Franz Fanon. You know what I'm saying? Mao Zedong, Lenin. Marx, Engels, Che Guevara. Reading up on Fidel Castro. Reading philosophy books. Reading social
Let, let,
like
let, let, let me ask you. I didn't mean to cut y'all. Let me ask you. So did y'all have like a study group, or while you was in, or was this just did you, or were you having to be on your own, so to speak?
so it we never had no study group per se except one prison I was at. That was in Indiana State Prison. We had a communal library
Okay.
uh, that we was using to educate the brothers at this prison. But this was years later. This is like around 2000 and uh 2000 three, four, five that we was doing this at Indiana State Prison. So most of this, my earliest form, my beginning years was me just studying my own stuff, and I might come across a brother that's reading a book that he's on his search. And he'll be like, man, you need to read this book right here. You know what I'm saying? And I read this book and I start reading, studying the Egyptian religion and seeing how that's when I started to find out how these religions was connected and stuff when I started studying all the different religions and stuff like that. But it was mostly just some of it like trial and error. And some of it is like I might read a book by the Black Panther Party, and then Huey P. Newton is talking about Mao Zedong in there. So I'm like, damn, I want to know what's up with like this
No.
dude Mao Zedong, or he might talk about Franz Fanon and the wretched of the earth. And I'm like, damn, let me get that book next. You know what I'm saying? So I used to have a lot of books sent in to me. Some of them I bought. Some of them I was writing to different companies that was sending books to prisoners for free. You know what I'm saying? But that started my educational process, and that's when I started to really transform my consciousness. Not only to how I looked at myself, how I related to other people in the world and the universe. I started to see everything very differently from there on, and I started to really develop a revolutionary mind state.
Now, from your alleged crimes there, what was your What was your sentence?
Uh,
Your original sentence.
I originally was sentenced to 39 years, but
Woo!
yeah, 39. But in Indiana, you do half of that for good behavior. You know what I'm saying? Even though you really mad about it, I ain't never had no good behavior in there with them. But as long as you didn't catch write-ups, that's good behavior. You know what I'm saying? That, you know what I mean? So I eventually did a half of that and gave back some time. I gave back a little about like 5 years, but I did pretty much like short, a month short of 18 years in there.
Mm, mm. So you did 18. So so obviously you knew beforehand that you was coming home.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But in the beginning though, like yeah, and I'm leaving out a lot of stuff because that'd be a whole nother conversation. But you know, when I was in prison, I had a lot of like once became more revolutionary and militant, I used to get into it with the guards a lot. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah,
stopped.
explain that a little bit. Go ahead.
Okay, so I stopped looking at prisoners as like the enemy. You know what I'm saying? This is another transformation that came about in there. When I first came down, I was thinking that, like, we got to come here, we got to be tough, we got to be hard. The people around us is, man, just in case it go down, like I might have to go down, beat up this, you know what I mean? Like it was that was my mentality. But then my first 3 months, the pigs killed his brother in there, Theodore McKenzie. This is like May 29th, 1999. They killed this brother named Theodore McKenzie. That like this my first 3 months in. That kind of fucked me up and changed my way of looking at my relationship between prisoners and staff and guards and the pigs and stuff like that. So the humanization in there was so real. Like prison has nothing to do with no rehabilitation. Like you see how the pigs treat us out here. Think about that like 10 times, 20 times worse than in prison because there ain't no cameras on them, ain't no it's like a situation where you trapped in a lot of ways and you just gotta deal with the white supremacy right there in your face. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta deal with them shaking down your cell, throwing your towel and your washcloth in your toilet. You know what I'm saying? Walking out your cell and it looked like a landfill more than it looked like a cell. You know what I'm saying? And in time, that start to just make you grow bitter and angry, and you start to look at the pigs and you start to realize like these people don't even respect our humanity at all. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter what we do with them. Like it don't matter if we aggressive. It don't matter if we like cheesing and Uncle Tom shitting with them. You know what I'm saying? They gonna still dehumanize us. But I start to realize the difference between the prisoners that really was standing their ground, boots on the ground, and was willing to fuck their ass up. They treated us different. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
yeah. So I started whoop their ass off in there. I even caught a case where I stabbed one of them in there. You know what I'm saying? And beat the case. That mind you, I beat that case. I represented my own case. you know
Wow.
and beat that case. I never said I didn't do it. I just realized they committed a fundamental error in my case, and I beat the case. You know what I'm saying? Uh, I'm lucky because I'd be in there to this day if they didn't commit that violation, fundamental error in my case. You know what I'm saying? But that's why we need to know the law. You know what I'm saying? To understand how to fight back. You know what I mean? But that same mentality helped start to shape my views of our community. With I started to realize we not the enemy. Like nobody in our community is really our enemy like that. You know what I'm saying? So we shouldn't be out here fighting each other, killing each other, trying to get over on each other, sabotaging our community. It's the system that's even put us in these conditions that we feel like we in a rat race and that we in a competition for survival out here. That's the problem. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And it's how the pigs treat us, how the state treat us. That's the real contradiction. And I saw that as a concentrated microcosm um, in prison. The way the guards and the prison regime and staff treated us, it's like we was modern day slaves. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It was like the way they treated us every day. They was calling us niggas. You know what I'm saying? So it really started to shape my way of relating to the state. I start to realize the state is the antagonistic contradiction in this society. You know what I'm saying? It's not our community. We are a product of the conditioning of the repression, oppression, exploitation, the colonialism, all that stuff that manifests through the state, through our social conditioning. But once we wake up and realize that we were socially conditioned to be pitted at each other, then we start to realize, like, nah, brothers and sisters, we've been played this whole time.
Wow.
Yeah, we need to organize against this state because this state is always going to be. We're never going to be accepted. We're always going to be pawns for somebody else, self interest, class interests. You know what I'm saying?
Right. 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 So you. So you. So. Uh. So you realize that at a certain point you realize that you was gonna obviously get out early, and you gave some time out. I think you said you gave 5 years back,
Yeah.
which is powerful. What was it? Was it I guess, but did you have like a feeling of relief when you realized you was getting out? You had your date and it was close, or
Yeah.
what was your mindset like just knowing that you was about to get out after
So
18 years?
So, like when people read my book, you'll be thinking like Kwame, boy, you just was just aggressive. like after doing all that time on lockup, because I did a lot of my time on lockup. 18 years, I probably did total of 12 years altogether. So I probably was only in general population 6 months or any type of semblance of a population for 6 months out of those 18 months. You know what I
Wow!
mean?
Wow!
Yeah, so a lot of that stuff I dealt with a lot of oppression and torture. You know what I'm saying? So it really made me rough around the edges. You know what I'm saying? So by the time and a lot of the lockup, I'm in a cell 24 hours by myself, no real human contact. You know what I'm saying? So think about what they would do to a person when you being like you put a pit bull in a closet and you steadily not feeding them, cutting off the lights, turning on the lights, doing all kind of stuff to them. Like they gonna be a lot more aggressive and rough around the edges. So, like my last few years in prison, like I was dealing with the guards in a very aggressive way. You know what I'm saying? So by the time I get out of my day I get out of prison, I find out that I was supposed to go home 5 days earlier. You hear me? So I did 5 extra days in prison. So mind you, if I was already rough around the edges and guards was already knowing like they come to the unit I'm on, like they gonna have some issues. You know what I'm saying? So the day I left prison was like this. I woke up. Well, the day before, my mom. I talked to her on the phone. She was like, "Well, I don't want you to do nothing crazy." Mama, that's my mom. She was like, "I don't want you to do nothing crazy, but you was supposed to be home Friday and stuff." I was like, "What?" I was I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "Yeah." So I told my mom, I was like, "Did this? This what you do? Come up here around 12 o'clock. I'll be coming home." And we hung up the phone where she was like, "Well, don't do nothing crazy." I was like, "Mom, be up here at 12 o'clock. I'll be home." You hear me? So I
Right.
that morning and went to like three different sergeants and told all of them motherfuckers. I said, "Did this? I did 18 years in prison. I was supposed to be gone Sunday. I mean, Friday. You know what I'm saying? It's Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? So dig this. If I'm not out this motherfucker by 12 o'clock, I'm gonna lock your motherfucking prison down. You dig?" And that all of them knew I wasn't never like I didn't give idle threats. If I said something, I'm gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? So my under and this is how I was dealing with them for a long time. And I used to not get a lot of write-ups by the end of my prison bid. A lot of people be like, "Wow, all the stuff you was doing." I started to realize they didn't know how to deal with a person like that because I was unpredictable. You know what I'm saying? Like I'd come to them and tell them dig and give them options. I'd be like, "Look, I remember Lieutenant came to the unit one time when we was on lockdown, and I was using the bathroom. It was a little communal area, and I wasn't supposed to go over there to use the bathroom. And they called the goon squad to come, and and then when the goon squad showed up, I was like, "Dig this, y'all can come take me to lockup right now, You dig what I'm saying? Or I'm taking a shit over here. But we gonna figure something out real quick. So tell me what you want to do. Cause right now we can go to lockup and I take a shit over there. I don't give a fuck where we gonna take a shit at, but I want to take a shit right now because I gotta take a shit. So what we gonna do, Lieutenant? You dig what I'm saying? And they didn't know how to deal with people like that. So the lieutenant looked at me like he was like, "Man, go in there, use the bathroom. But as soon as you go use the bathroom, go back to your communal area." But this is the same lieutenant I came across my last day in prison. And I told him he was the last person I talked to, and it was almost like 12 o'clock. So I called him on the walk and stuff, and I told him, I said, "Did this, Lieutenant," because I've dealt with him plenty of times. He called on the unit plenty of times on me. You know what I'm saying? So he already knew I was not no plaything. So I told him, I said, "Did this, bro. If I'm not out this motherfucker in a couple more hours, man, I'm telling you like this, I'm gonna lock your motherfucking prison down, dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have to do a whole lot of paperwork, and I'm still gonna go home." You know what I'm saying? So yeah, uh
hold 1 second. Hold 1 second. Hold
okay.
1 second. All right, I'm back. I'm sorry. So you was telling him. Go ahead with your statement. I'm sorry, I didn't cut you off.
Okay, so yeah, this lieutenant, after I told him that, I said, "Man, I did down 18 years, man. And I don't really be trying to cause no problems on y'all. I really don't. But like at the end of the day, once y'all y'all violating my rights and stuff like that, I'm gonna stand my ground. You dig what I'm saying? So I told him straight flat out, I was like, "Look, if I'm not out here, I did 18 years, man. I was supposed to be gone Friday. If I'm not out here in another hour or two, I'm gonna lock your prison down." So he looked at me. He was like, okay, where's that house you in?" I looked at him in his eyes. I said, "The same one you in. What you mean?" So he he took me to his office and called the classification department and stuff. And so he's over here talking loud too. He was like, "Yeah, so I got such and such here, and he said he supposed to have left Friday. So he wants to know, is he going home today?" And so he's talking out loud. And so the person on the other line, I guess they confirmed that I'm supposed to get out. So he started talking out loud. He was like, "Oh, okay, so he supposed to go home today?" And he looks over to me. He was like, "Hey, they said you're going home today." And then they said something else to him, and he's talking out loud the whole time. He's like, "Oh, his mom is there, and his mom said don't do nothing crazy." You know what I'm saying? So he talking to me. He said, "Hey, your mom is up there, and your mom said nothing crazy." You hear me? So I end up that was my last day of prison. I went and packed up my stuff, told everybody I'm out here. You know what I'm saying? I'm finally getting released and stuff. But in the book, and I in my book, because I always told myself all the bullshit I went through, bro, and I went through a lot of torture. I'm just keeping 100. Like everybody that did supermax time went through torture, mental, emotional torture. You know what I'm saying? When you read my book, you're not gonna put my book down and not feel some type of way, because you're gonna like there's some fucked up shit that goes on inside there. You know what I'm saying? And this is what made us, a lot of us that came through all that stuff, a little rough. You know what I'm saying? While we dealt with the pigs rough out in there, and how we deal with them out here is rough. You know what I'm saying? Like we're a different breed because of this. You dig what I'm saying? So but yeah, I always told myself when I walked out of prison, my last day, I was gonna turn around, stick up my middle finger. You know what I'm saying? But in the end of my book, I ended by saying, you know what? I don't have nothing to prove. The real struggle lies ahead. You know what I'm saying? And this is where the real chapter in my life about to take up, because now we got to forward this revolutionary struggle out here and bring the political education, the understanding, the organization, the commitment, the dedication to the people out here that might not understand it because they didn't get a education that I gave myself. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I gave myself, and a lot of people went through what I went through that did do their own education. We got a world class political education. Like we read a lot of books. Imagine being in a cell 23 hours a day for 12 years almost, or 12 years in my case, locked down. Like, what type of person you gonna come out? You better come out very well rounded, very educated, very understanding what's really going on out here. You know what I mean?
Wow, wow. This is, yeah. You definitely got a book of so just what you've explained to me is definitely worthy of a book, and obviously that's why you created even a movie script as well.
I'm,
Wow. You working on it? You working on it? I can see it. Hey, I can see it. So
yeah.
you come home. Well, first of all, let me do this, and not to dismiss your processes. I don't want to unless you just discuss your processes, which you're free to do so. But what's the name of your organization?
The Black Liberation Party is the party. The Black Liberation Circle is the mass base. I recently started that, uh, founded that here in Tampa,
Hmm.
January the 4th. A lot of people been wanting me to do this for a long time. I actually started what, a year and a half ago up in Indianapolis, but it didn't go as I was, feeling. So I kind of scrapped it. But now I actually put the boots to the ground, been developing it. Got a nice number of members already. Uh, uh, and really, it comes from the years of seeing some of the misleadership out here. You dig what I'm saying? That made me want to, you know, start an organization and lead this organization, because I feel like if other people ain't stepping up to the plate that I followed in the past, it's time for me. I know I got the integrity. I know understand how to organized a revolutionary movement since I've been a part of, the Second Rainbow Coalition, other revolutionary movements. So I end up, jumping out there and realizing, like, yeah, I can be a chairman myself. You know what I mean? And that's where I'm at. So,
Gotcha,
yeah.
gotcha. If I may ask, what's the ideology of your group that you founded?
Okay, so we still, even though we the Black Liberation Party, Black Liberation Circle, we still derive our ideals and our vision from the Black Panther Party. That was the biggest influence on me. In particular Fred Hampton. You know what I'm saying? He was the greatest influence, but Huey P. Newton, George Jackson, all of that shaped my views and stuff. And I saw that as the model to reflect our social conditions out here. Now, I'm a Marxist Leninist Maoist. I tell everybody I'm a Marxist Leninist Maoist. I'm a dialectical materialist. I'm a historical materialist. But at the end of the day, all of that is funneled through the prism of our social conditions that the Black Panther Party was an expression of. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of like reject Eurocentric ways of looking at Marxism, Leninism, Maoism. I think that's dogmatic. I think when you talk about Marx, Lenin, and Mao, they said that we supposed to look at this as a science. Scientific socialism, we call it scientific socialism for a reason. It's based on our real material conditions on the ground. We are colonized people here in the United States that we have to recognize, and it's an anti-colonial struggle that this class struggle is expressed within this anti-colonial struggle. You know what I'm saying? Just like the Palestinians is struggling against the Zionists over here. Well, we're still colonized over here in the United States. When did we not become? When did we stop being colonized? You know what I'm saying? We just became assimilated more than a lot of other oppressed people, and we see ourselves as having more in line with these imperialists that colonized us, that enslaved us and stuff. But that don't mean that we stop being colonized. You know what I'm saying? We just like the consciousness to recognize our true conditions over here. You know what I mean?
Wow, wow. Okay, okay. So thus far, what type of work or programs have you guys been working on, at least locally in Tampa, thus far?
Just since I've been out here, and I recently moved to Tampa. I want to say I moved here last beginning of last month, December. Moved to Tampa. I moved to Florida around September, I was in Port Charlotte. I wasn't doing too much down there. That's pretty far from Tampa. It ain't too far, but it's far from Tampa. But the work here since I've been in Tampa, a lot of this been around the Palestinian situation down here. It's a strong Palestinian community down here. I got a chance to go to the March on Washington for Gaza. When was that? That was just a few January the 13th, I want to say. We took a bus load, 5 buses from Tampa, and we went down to the White House and stuff, and the Capitol and all that stuff. And, you know,
Mhm.
it was 400,000 people down there. The most people. I've never been to Washington, D.C. You dig what I'm saying? But we've been doing a lot of work around that recently. Palestine. We shut down the streets a couple times since I've been down here. Tampa. Uh, that was huge. Yeah, so a lot of the stuff I've been since I've been in Tampa has been around the Palestinian situation that's been going on.
Mhm.
We see that everywhere right now. Like people around the world are standing up for Palestine. We just saw recently the International Court of Justice recognize that Israel will be held accountable. They recognize South Africa's case that they presented to them as legitimate. You know what I'm saying? They are committing genocide over there. You know what I'm saying? So they will be held accountable. How that plays out, we'll see. But at the end of the day, it's going to be really the power of the people around the world that keeps on putting pressure on these imperialists that's going to help Palestine get their freedom, because this is part of the political struggle that we're waging. They over there waging the military struggle on the front line against their settler colonialism that they dealing with.
Wow. Okay. 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 So that's pretty interesting. Some of those things I definitely can relate to that we have been working with here in the city of Dallas as well. So I've always been interested in what other folks was working with. So kind of share ideas. So I appreciate you for kind of doing that. Um, what else? I had something else to come to mind. So you're in Florida. So I'm sure at this particular point you're glad you in Florida versus Indianapolis. I'm sure. As far as the weather,
Oh yeah, yeah. It was like 80 degrees today.
listen, you got a regular T-shirt on today. You ain't got no jacket on. You ain't got no hoodie. You ain't have to
Ah,
wear that. You probably got shorts on. You
yeah.
know, so I'm sure you're glad. What else? So uh, finally, you've been traveling around the country. You said you've been, and I noticed some time ago with the gentleman that you mentioned. I just don't want to tear his name up too, but I know it starts with an H. You've been traveling around, and you say here in the future you gonna be traveling around the country doing another speaking tour.
Oh yeah, you talk about high thermal.
High therm, okay. Yep.
Yeah. So we did the West Coast Principal Unity tour. That was let me see, that was October 2022. Then we did the East Principal Unity tour. That was like around March, April 2023, just last year. Now we're gonna do in this April, mid-April, we're gonna do the South. So we're gonna do Tampa, Miami, Atlanta, Dallas, uh, Houston. I'm thinking San Antonio, maybe. Uh, yeah, we're gonna do the South. You dig what I'm saying? Since I'm living down here, High Thurman, he lives in Alabama. You know what I mean? So
Okay.
yeah, the South this time.
And I'm gonna make sure to let comrades that I know locally here in the city of Dallas when you come to can you still hear me? Can you still hear me? You can hear me? You can hear me now? Okay, you back? Think I may have lost you. But I know you can still hear me. I know you can hear me. I just can't hear or see you. So hopefully you can still hear me. I'm definitely going to make sure that when you come to Dallas, that I make sure to have my comrades many of my comrades as I can. If you guys come to Dallas, I'll make sure we try to make that happen. So I think that that'll be a very beautiful thing to have happen. Is to have the brother in our city, and when he's within our city, that he has the uh, that he gets the support that he needs, because he obviously, as you guys can see from what we were discussing here, he has a very interesting story. And it's not every day that someone goes into prison under the circumstances that he went in under, and is able to come out the other side. And I think that that's very powerful, that you're able to do that. And I continue to talk, and what I was saying is that I was just mentioning your story is that if you come to Dallas, if you decide to come to Dallas, I'm gonna try to get some of our comrades locally to come to Dallas from Dallas to support, because it's not too many times often do we hear brothers that go in under the circumstances that you went in, where you could have. I'm sure could have been many times you could have been shanked. Because anytime I hear about somebody being in prison for 18 years, I'm thinking they done seen a lot of what I forget the verbiage that's used, but you could saw a lot of people get stabbed. You saw some people lose their life, obviously.
Yeah.
You just saw a lot of things going on. So I'm gonna make sure myself to give folks our support. If you do choose to make Dallas one of your cities, I do recommend that if you choose Dallas, that you look up a local place you may be familiar with, or may have heard of it, called Pan African Connection.
Okay.
Matter of fact, let me send it to let me just show you right now while if you don't mind, let me see right here, Pan African. This is where Pan African Connection is where I got a lot of my foundation from.
Okay.
This is where I got my foundation present. Let's see. If you go to Pan African Connection, you at the central spot of Dallas. This is I don't know if you can see that. I know it's kind of small there probably. Let me see here. Let me find something big here. This is let me see. This is the location here. Okay, okay, there. I'll show it like this. Let me see. I want to make it big though. Let me see. No, it didn't come up right. Did it? Okay, yeah, it did. Let me see here. So yeah, this place here is Pan African Connection. It's a nice size location, and typically they open from. We got some very good hours of operation, and a lot of people come through. A lot of celebrities come through. A lot of celebrities come through there when they come. Nipsey Hussle been there. Shador Sanders been there. Uh, just celebrities when they come through the city of Dallas, they come through here. Erica Badu go through there oftentimes, but and it's a good location. So if you come to Dallas, you may want to consider having this be the location you do it at, unless you have another one, not to step on anybody's
Okay.
toes, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
And one thing we like certain states we'll probably do multiple locations. Maybe even in Dallas. Like we might have two locations that we do in Dallas. So yeah, I'm
right,
gonna be in touch with you on this because we haven't figured out all the actual venues that we want to go. But if you got
right.
that we could you in touch with there, I definitely would love to talk to them about doing something there then.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. See, and the space is pretty the space is pretty decent in terms of getting people in there. So it's just my recommendation. Usually, if you speak to anybody from Dallas, they're gonna say, check out Pan African Connection. That's usually the first thing the folks say. Because they've been around in this city, I think, since 1980,
Okay.
and they've been going ever since. Now they've changed locations multiple times, but this one is their most current location, and like I said, they got a lot of support from a lot of people.
Okay.
Uh, so that's my recommendation. But neither here nor there. I do want to say that I appreciate you very much so for joining joining me in this conversation. That to talk about a number of different things. And like I said, I love the politics. I love talking about revolution, and just observing you from the outside looking in. I said I could tell he has an interesting story because there's not too many people that just keep going. Yeah, and I know if you know what I mean when
Yeah,
somebody just keep going. Like usually you see somebody they active for a little while, and then maybe life hit sets in or something happens and they stop and they just kind of do. But I see you still going, so
yeah.
I say let me connect with him and see like what's going on. And here we got this whole story about how you was able to triumph over adversity that most of us, a lot of us, would have crumbled under. So I want to say a solid salute to you from my comrades, even though they haven't had a chance to talk to you. They will see this a little later. Uh, major salute to you for coming through, making it out on the other side, and still being in peace, still having your mind,
Yeah,
still having your body. You know
right.
what I mean? Still having the ability to go do whatever you want to do. You know what I mean? And that's the whole point of life. So, do you have any closing thoughts for us? Uh, and at this moment,
Yeah, I would just say that my story is uh I feel we all have prisons. You know what I mean?
right?
Some of them ain't physical prisons like penitentiary, but some of them is just as traumatic. And a lot of us, when we this one book I read called Man's Search for Meaning, Victor E. Frankl, he says, life is about suffering. Life is about suffering, but the whole purpose is to find meaning, meaning in our suffering. You dig what I'm saying? And when we find out that meaning in our suffering, we can deal with almost any how. How we live and how our conditions are. And for all of us, that suffering is real. You know what I mean? Especially like if you came through a situation where you was abused and molested or uh, you lived you was in a situation where your parents was dope fiends and stuff, and you had a yourself. You know what I'm saying out here, and you saw a whole lot of stuff out here in the streets. I came across a person where his mama was a prostitute, and he used to see people coming in and out of his house. Growing up, I've been around people in prison that they told me that they woke up and stole every day because they parents
Wow.
crack 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 kids and they was just hungry and they didn't go to school because like they was just trying to survive and feed their belly as a little kid. You know what I mean? That's a prison. All of these is prisons. The whole purpose of a revolutionary uh, is first getting yourself out of whatever prison you in, and then free yourself from that prison, helping other people get out of their prisons. You know what I'm saying? That's the work of a revolutionary because once we get out of our own individual prisons, then we can face the world and then understand the social contradictions and the contradictions that we have to, as revolutionaries, teach the people how we collectively transform this in our class interests. You dig what I'm saying? To free ourselves, to acquire self-determination, liberation, to take state power. What that means, what does that protracted struggle look like? But first, we got to get out of our own prison, and then we have to teach people and help people come out of their own prisons. And once we do that, then we can transform the world. But this is what it really is. This is the heart of being a revolutionary. Is getting people out of their prisons and forming that organization of the people united. Because at the end of the day, we're not outnumbered. We're just out organized. And once we become more organized, the state, which they fear, is us understanding our true power. Once the people understand our power, there's nothing that we can't do. When the people at the bottom get tired of our oppression, there's nothing none of these imperialists can do to stop us. The power of the people is really indestructible. And that's what they fear. That's why they keep us divided with drugs and racism and sexism, xenophobia, using everything to keep us divided. Because once we see our real power, we cannot be stopped. And that's what they fear. And that's the the lesson I want people to take away from this is that this is what being a revolutionary is about, teaching the people they real power. You know, all praise.
Wow. Wow, man, hey, man, you speak real well, brother.
Appreciate that.
Oh man, I'm sure you've heard that before. I know that for sure. Yeah, you very inspiring. Yeah, you inspired me. I'm ready to jump up right now and go do something. I'm ready to go do something right now. So hey, so respect. I'm a um I'm a put this on YouTube and I'm gonna give it a couple days. Let the views get up a little bit on it, and then if it's okay, I'm gonna send it to you, and if you can share it, that would be very peace. You know what I mean? If
Oh,
you can share it, it'll
absolutely.
be peace. I'm gonna put it on YouTube and let my numbers hit it a little bit. But other than that, we appreciate it. Hey, y'all, do me a big favor. Again, this has been Yafeuh Balogun. I consider myself to be a street reporter. I've been in the streets for a few years. Nevertheless, I just want to report, and that's why I got comrades and brothers like Kwame Che Shakur here today. I want you to support his organization. His organization is very powerful. You said the Black Liberation Party, right? And
Yeah,
it's under the Black Liberation Circle.
yeah.
Look
The
them
ma-
up. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, Black Liberation Party, and then the mass base is the Black Liberation Circle.
Look them up. If you're in Tampa, look them up. Join him. Don't even look. He gave you the whole presentation of how this organization plans to function and move forward, and how they're uh, following those before. You know what I mean? It's great examples to what's needed in Tampa. So, but do me a big favor, like, share, subscribe to my channel, and go buy his book. Go check his book out, and I'll make sure that when I put this on YouTube, I'm gonna look you up, and I'm gonna go find your link to your book. I'm gonna put your book link in there too as well.
Oh,
So, but
definitely.
I definitely appreciate you for your time, brother. Peace, power, and prosperity.
No doubt. No doubt.
All right. Appreciate that.